Hey guys, what is up? It is Omega SMG coming at you with a new video. 1 second, moving the mic. I've been gone for a solid week just because I've been working on better content. So I wanted to really make this a good video. So this time I'm going over drums. Drums are the most important part of trap music because it's what makes trap music trap music. Your song isn't a trap song if the drums aren't at halftime. So the bus I have for all my drums, which I'm including the 808 as a drum, is completely insane. So I'm going to go ahead and pop into the mixer. So let's mute everything that isn't a drum. But most of my song is drum. I can go over the rest of this track later, but I'm going over the drums now because the drum pattern is insane. Okay, so I'm going to start breaking this down track by track. So let's go ahead and start with the 808 because I think the 808 is probably the most interesting part of this entire thing. But so as you can see, I have two different 808 tracks. This is because I have two different 808s, which I'll explain later. But so the reason I have two different 808s is because if you go into the mixer track, you can see right here that I have all the sub cut out of this second 808 so that it's called my boom 808. So let's go over this. So I have my exact same FabFilter Saturn settings on it. So it has the same saturation as this one, not the same compression though. So just cut out all the sub on this one, and then I have a gator, which will just, it's like a compressor but a lot more extreme. So it'll make it so that it just ducks out. It's why it doesn't have any transient. So yeah, this is fairly basic, but the reason that it isn't overtaking the 808 is because I have the polarity flipped. This makes it so that the phase is different and it isn't trying to overtake this 808. Ugh. Man, I've had way too many large cokes today. So now you hear that 808. This is with the second 808. This is without this. Yeah, huge difference. But now let's go over the kick. So the kick is really basic. I have a Maximus plugin. I have Maximus on it. It's a multi-band compressor. Have this preset right here. It's from Abe McCree's Trap Camp, if I'm not mistaken. Go check out Abe McCree, by the way. He's great. But yeah, have this going, slightly different. And then I have this going, which, let me pull up the EQ on this 808. So I saved the EQ for this because of the way that these two EQs are designed is because like it's made so that this will fit into this groove right here so that the kick is able to propel the 808 even more than it would already. So I'll put on the kick and I'll turn off the EQ so you can hear the difference. So yeah, just a few differences. It's nothing major, but for one, the EQ makes it so that it fits in more, so that it sounds like it's part of the 808 instead of just a kick, and it also makes it louder. it's pretty basic. Now the hi-hats are where it starts getting a bit more basic, but it's basic in the way that you don't think about it, and it just makes you think, well, that's kind of stupid. It's kind of like Mad Lib in the sense that everything he does is really basic, but just because it's basic, it doesn't mean it's stupid. It means that he was smart enough to think of that. Now, I'm not saying I'm not the one that thought of this idea, but so open hi-hat. This is really basic, but yeah, I don't have anything on it. I have it stereo separated and I have it sent to a reverb track. It's just the Fruity Convolver with a Lex medium ambient impulse. Well, yeah, dang it. So, got that going. Yeah. Open hi-hat is really basic except for the panning. It like wraps around your head so that it stands out more. I don't make it super loud or anything, but you're able to hear it in individual ears. I have the same thing going on my hi-hat here, so this is the setup I have for the hi-hats. It's an EQ and it's also on the reverb. It's pretty weird looking, but it sounds nice. That this is with it, without it. Only slight difference, but it's those minor differences that make a song sound better. So now let's go ahead and go over the panning on these hi-hats. So I have every single change or like speed up or slow down in my hi-hats. I have it hard panned so that instead of having to make it louder so that it stands out more, it just stands out more because there's less on that side. So yeah, wait, this middle one is supposed to be hard pan to the other side. I do not appreciate the fact that it did not work. Yeah, triplet timing on that. Yeah, just really basic. You know, I think I may have some, yeah, slight velocity changes. This is just me hitting Control A and then Alt random. It's just random velocity, but nothing big. Then my snares, which it's just on the offbeat every time. It's nothing big. The mixing bus is nice though. So I started off with an EQ at 4 decibel boost at 400 hertz. Then I have a instance of FabFilter Pro C with a fairly low ratio. Have it side chained so that it's only right here. No gain. Some decent release and some decent attack and some decent release. It's nothing big. It's a compressor. And then there's this, which just boosts everything but the mids. Have the mids boost a tiny bit here. Fruity Wave Shaper. It makes it so that it has a bit more crunch, and then Fruity Limiter. So it's because I'm too lazy to mix anything. No, I'm joking. And then I have reverb right here so that it has more atmosphere. With reverb, 1 second, I'm going to copy the value. Yeah, it's a really light difference, but then again, like I said earlier, it's those light differences that make a good song into a great song. Now, what other drums do I have? Because I feel like there's more. Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, the master track. The master track, while you may not consider it really drums, it does affect the drums because the master affects everything that's on it. So, I'm going to go ahead and go over those. This is with the master. The master just makes it sound a bit fatter. So I started off with a gluing EQ. Compressor. I like FabFilter's plugins for mastering. FabFilter is top tier. Would not be able to recommend anyone else when it comes to mastering and mixing. So have really low threshold, really low ratio. This is just something that kind of keeps it from going overboard. Slow attack, fast release. I have the bass taken out of it because I don't want that sub to be any more compressed than it already is, but the high ends can be compressed as much as I feel like compressing them. Then have an EQ like this that just cuts out all the mud and lowers the mids a tiny bit. Mid side EQ, so no stereo behind no stereo in the sub, no mono in the high ends. Multi-band compressor, really basic stuff. Saturator, so that it has a warmer sound, and then a limiter, which I really don't use the limiter when it comes to making my song louder. I more keep it there so that I can see what all is going on in my K14 scale and for dithering, but besides for that, it doesn't touch the red line at all. I just don't like doing that. While some people will, I don't. In fact, it comes real close. And I spend a lot of time making it so that it goes real close, but I don't want it to go any lower because I don't want it to compress. Because limiters are a form of compressor, and there's just already so many compressors going on the drums, which are where it would most likely peak, that I don't want to compress them any more than they're already compressed. So I just make it so that I can make the track as loud as possible without it limiting, because I don't like that limited sound. Now, more stuff. 808 is completely mono. You do not want really wide 808s, mostly because it won't spread well and it will have conflict with other things. Then my open hi-hats there is separated all the way. My second 808, which is just that high-end 808, is 100% stereo separated. It doesn't really do much because it's a mono sound to start out with, but it is, yeah, it's all good. So, really, the overall lesson, if you're going to take anything from this video, if you're just going to say, man, your mixing sucks, you shouldn't listen to this guy, at least go ahead and take this from this video. The most important thing when it comes to mixing is making those small differences. The small differences is what turns a good track into a great track, because we don't want anything that's just good. We want our To Pimp a Butterflies. We want our 808s and heartbreaks. We want things that are astounding to us. And it is for that reason that you should be able to do things like this. Now, I'll probably go into depth with mixing later, like formula controller. It's something that not a ton of people know how to do, and I use it a bit. Not a ton, but I enjoy using formula controller. It, makes your sound better. Oh, also, tiny bit of boost right there on the snare. But my next video is definitely going to be on the Fruity Formula controller and uses for that instead of just explaining what it does, because it's kind of threatening at first, but once you get used to it, it's cool. Now, this has been Omega SMG, and I'm going to sign off. Have a wonderful day.